As the Taisho era was coming to an end, a horrific accident that would shake the country was about to take place. During September of 1926, the country was battered by disaster after disaster. Numerous typhoons hit the country, and Mount Tokachi in Hokkaido also erupted. Thanks to the typhoons, Hiroshima was also drenched with torrential rains, and it was these rains that would later lead to yet another accident and horrific loss of life. On September 11th, 1926, the banks of the Hataga River burst thanks to the torrential rains, causing massive damage to nearby areas. The Hataga River Bridge on the Sanyo Line, as well as the embankment, were also damaged in the flooding. Yet the Sanyo Line was still usable, and trains proceeded without incident. On September 22nd, the steam locomotive number 28977 left Tokyo Station at 9:30, pulling 11 cars behind it. It served as an important international link for many important visitors from Europe and Asia, linking Tokyo to Shimonoseki Station on the Sanyo Line, where people could then transit to their next destination. As such, many important Japanese figures, as well as visitors from overseas, were on the train when it set out from Tokyo towards Shimonoseki, at the very bottom of Honshu, the main island of Japan. The following day, September 23rd, the train departed Itosaki Station on the Sanyo Line at 1:46 on its way towards Hiroshima Station. At 3:28, it passed Aki Nakono Station 3 minutes later than scheduled. It was this tiny time discrepancy that would ultimately prove fatal. Nearby, the banks of the Hataga River had burst, and firefighters patrolling the area feared that it was dangerous. A freight train had just passed over that very same spot a few minutes earlier, but with the water now causing the tracks to float, firefighters feared the worst. And they were right. Firefighters at the scene attempted to stop any incoming trains by asking the crossing guard to call for an emergency stop, but they were too late. The Limited Express steam locomotive number 28977 passed through at 3:30 on the dot, and, when it hit the waterlogged section of the tracks, overturned. The train was wooden, and the first 6 cars were either crushed or derailed. The first 2 cars were empty, but the following 4 had 75 people on board. The remaining 5 cars also had another 33 people on board, for a total of 108 passengers. Of these, 34 died in the derailment. Many of the victims were people of high standing in Japan at the time, making the accident even more shocking. The then mayor of Kagoshima was one of the 34 who died, alongside 2 foreigners, a massive shock for a country that was only just opening up to the outside world. Other important figures, such as Major General Terauchi Hisaichi, who would later be promoted to one of the most prestigious positions in the Japanese Imperial Army, and Ando Nararoku, who later became honorary president of the Odakyu Electric Railway Company, were also on board, but escaped unscathed. The timing of the incident proved to be incredibly unlucky. As mentioned earlier, another train had passed by that very same spot only 5 minutes earlier, and the wooden steam locomotive was running 3 minutes late. If it had been running on time, then in all likelihood it wouldn't have derailed and nobody would have died. Those 3 minutes proved the difference between life and death. Wooden trains fell out of favour after this incident, and many pointed to the derailment itself as the reason why Japan soon switched to steel cars rather than wooden. After all, if the train hadn't been made out of wood, then the number of deaths would likely have significantly decreased. Yet, despite the fact that Japan did indeed switch to steel cars after this accident, it was just a coincidence. The Ministry of Railways pointed out that they had been working on switching to steel since long before the accident, but these things take time. Test designs were completed a whole year before the accident took place, but the trains themselves didn't start rolling out until 1927, a year after the accident. The main designer of the cars also pointed out that the rest of the world was already switching to steel at the time, as were several electric railway companies in Japan, so the plans had already long been in place and rollout underway when the accident occurred. While it is remembered by many as the impetus that caused Japan to switch to steel cars, that's not exactly the whole truth. It was, once again, simply just too late for something that was already in motion. After the incident, the bridge over Hataga River was raised and reinforced, and structures were built on the riverbank to ensure that it wouldn't be able to collapse again. A stone monument was also erected at nearby Sennenji Temple in memory of all who lost their lives. But what do you guys think about this one? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.